Everybody, hi, welcome. It's great to see you all, and so fantastic to see so many people both here in the room and online. It's a beautiful day in Bloomington. I know that it's been a bit chilly recently, but it's nice to see the sun come out again. And that you can be seated. And this is an amazing time of the year in which so much is happening in Bloomington, especially in the arts. There's incredible numbers of performances, both on campus and in town. And even this afternoon, for instance, if you want to have an enjoyable free concert at the Cook Center, it's happening at 5 o'clock. And I just wanted to remind you all that we have our Candide special for the Rotary Club. If you want to go and see Candide, if you haven't seen it yet, how many of you have seen it already? I know that, here we go. We've got 3 or 4 or 5 people who've seen it. And what was it great? Was it amazing? I'm going to be seeing it on Friday. And for those of you who haven't seen it yet, remember that we have the $10 special for anybody from Rotary. So you're able to do that. Just go to the ticket office and get your ticket. We have some fabulous guests. We have a great program ready for you today. And I am going to invite Roy Graham to come and do our reflection.
Thank you. Really nice to be here. I'm going to talk about 3 questions and how I handle each of those things in my practice of law, which is now 31 years. And before doing so, I want to say that I think all of us know, because there are a lot of professionals here, retired people still working, that how we handle controversy or how we handle something that gets thrown at us has a lot to do with where we go next. So in other words, if someone gets you annoyed, how do you respond, and so forth and so on. So the 3 questions are, I was questioned once by a retired professor, emeritus professor, and he asked me, he said, well, you do defense work for people. How can you represent a guilty person? Then the other thing I had to deal with was, what do you do when you're in court and it's being recorded and the judge says something very cruel and mean to your client? And then the third one is actually a more enlightening story, had to do with my first deposition. So the guilty question. I was a little surprised when he asked me, and he's no longer with us, but if I mentioned his name, you'd know who he was. But when you mention names and you tell stories, it's like gossip, which I don't like to do. So I said to myself, well, let me ask you this. Let's say your son's in a lot of trouble and he's guilty. And in county 1, you have a prosecutor that's going to be lenient. In county 2, you have a prosecutor that's running for office and doesn't care what's fair. And in county 3, the crime that your son is probably going to be convicted of, he had happened to his sister 3 years ago. Which county would you want to be? So I think I answered the question. The other question was about, what do you do when a judge says something very cruel and mean? And of course, the worst thing you can do is react poorly. There's old theory in the Old Testament that we have 3 ways to filter things. We think what we're going to say, it becomes speech when it comes to our mouth, but then when it comes out, it's action. So I want to say that was stupid. It comes to my mouth. I want to say something else, and so forth. So what happened in this case was, it doesn't really matter what the young man was accused of. And this case has long been resolved. This was maybe 15 years ago. But it was a terrible crime. He'd never been in any trouble before. And so he was on house arrest. We took a deposition of the one witness, and I'm not exaggerating, this woman whose child was involved with this accusation was really mentally ill, and you could see it. And she didn't really see anything. So once we took the deposition, I thought, well, I'll get this case dismissed. This is easy. So I go up to the bench and I said, well, Judge, I said, my guy's on house arrest. He'd never been in trouble before. And we took the deposition, and this is what happened in the deposition. Now, the prosecutor barked a lot, and judge tried to shut me up, and I went, okay. I says, well, I would like to get him off house arrest. It's very expensive. His family is poor, and he's in a bad situation because he has a brother that has a lot of health problems. So the judge says to me, he says, well, Mr. Graham, I could put him back in jail if you want. I said to myself, and I didn't know what to say. So I just stood there for about 5 seconds, and I went very you're very close up when you're dealing with the judge up at the bench. So let's say he was there, but he's up higher. So what I did is I went up to his microphone and I said, very quietly, "That wasn't a very nice thing to say, Judge." And he kind of put his head down and sort of ignored me the rest. Now, I still had to get along with him for the next 10, 15 years. But I do remember something else he said to me that was even crueler that I was thinking of as I was preparing this. And I had been in Bloomington for 20-something years, and I'd run for judge unsuccessfully a couple of 3 times. So one day I'm sitting in front of him waiting for a client to come in. And he says to me, he looks at me and he goes, "Carpetbag." And I thought, ugh. So anyhow, what do? You know, okay, deposition. This is a great story. What I had is when you start the practice of law, people will say to you, well, you know, you want to take this kind of case, and I'd never done one before. And it basically was a tax sale. Someone had bought property at a tax sale. And what happens, you know, you have to give notice. And if the other party doesn't respond and you pay the taxes, then the property becomes yours. It happens a lot more than people realize. But what happened was the title company claimed that they didn't get notice. Now, I knew this wasn't true because I had the green card signed by the representative. So I go to the deposition, and my client's son had cerebral palsy. And I won't imitate what he could do, but he could basically grunt and he could hardly stand up. And he was maybe 30. These are very nice people. So this is my first deposition. I was really nervous. And the other attorney on the other side was a very sharp attorney. And he was a nice fellow, very intense. So I set everything across the table, you know, rather than stack my exhibits, which most experienced lawyers do, I had everything stacked around the table. And he was kind of laughing at me. And I just thought, all right, you know. So we start taking the deposition. And he's sitting next to me, and his client is over there. And I noticed that every time I'd ask a question, he would kind of go like this or go like that. And I didn't know if it was a tick or not. But then I stood back and I watched the witness, and the witness would agree with him every time he shook his head or whatever. So finally I said to myself, Roy, you're trained to do this. You have to put something on the record. You know, what are you going to say? So I said, I once had a judge say that she'll take my phone and put me in jail rather than the client. Sorry, I'm just teasing. Anyway, so what happened was I said, well, I got to make a record. So this went on for a while. So I said, okay. I said, let the record reflect that the attorney for so-and-so is signaling his client. He got out of his chair. I thought he was going to throw it. He picked it up and he started screaming and yelling. And I thought, well, you got to keep making a record, Roy. I said, well, let the record reflect that he's losing his temper. So he sat down. The result of that case is we did settle it, and it worked out very well. But what was so interesting was after the case was over, I was putting my papers away, and the young man with the disability kept trying to say something to his mother. Of course, his mother knew what he was saying. Of course, I didn't know. He was gesturing. And I said, what is he saying? He said, he's trying to tell you that the lawyer was signaling his client. It was one of those things, you know, you say to yourself, you know, if there's heaven on earth, I'm here at that moment. And one other thing to finish with is when I had the first meeting at the client's house, we were sitting at a round table like this, and we had papers everywhere. And when you start out the practice of law, you know, you try to be organized, but when you're not familiar with everything, stuff stacks around and you miss a paper. So the boy was sitting maybe 30 feet across the room with his mother. And all of a sudden, we're trying to find this one document, and we're lifting everything up. He walks across the room and pulls it right out, just like that. So I think the lesson to be learned is, you know, thought, speech, and action. I really want to say this, but if I say it, this is going to be the result. And so those are just 3 stories from my practice, but they all really happened. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Roy. And it's so great to have you come up, especially as a new member of the club, and tell us about your life stories and professional experiences. And I invite you all of the other new members, to come up and share your thoughts, your life experiences, something that we can share between ourselves as we build community in this absolutely amazing club. I also want to apologize for the sound. I didn't realize, but we have a secondary sound system today. We have 2 speakers, one of which is not working. So we're going to do the very best that we can. Hopefully everybody online has perfect sound today. So they have great sound and we have sort of mixed sound in the room here today. Well, let's move on here. We've got one birthday to celebrate. Peggy Frisbee has her birthday on the 21st. Happy birthday, Peggy. And believe it or not, there are no member anniversaries this week. Sometimes we have 9, and this week we didn't have a single one. Isn't that amazing? Jim Sims, I'm going to invite you to welcome our guests. Here comes the sheet.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. What I'd like to talk about today is the word hope. Oh, no, it's not reflection. It's just, oh, no, I'm sorry. It's just, I'd like to introduce our guests today. We'd like to invite Ann Bright, who is I'm sorry, let me take this off. The guest of Jim Bright. Ann, are you? Yep. Jeff Jackson and Holly Warren, who are of our speaker group. They're with the city of Bloomington. Give them a round of applause. Did I miss anyone? I just said. Okay, Jeff and Holly Warren. Okay, I don't see Chaz. I'm sorry. Welcome, Chaz. Welcome. Thank you very much. Okay. We also have mayoral candidate Don Griffin, who's a guest of Tracy in this club. And Mr. Diego Alan, sitting over here. Let's say orchestra conductor. Orchestra conductor, thank you for joining us. And I do believe we have visitors online with Mike Sherman. Mike?
Hey, all, Jim, that's Michael here, and no guests from online land. We're all members.
Okay, thank you. Let's give them all another round of applause. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, just a few quick club updates. I want to remind you that for those of you who didn't get books, people of Indiana University last week, there are books right there. And Natalie has told me that she doesn't want to take that box back because it's too heavy. So please, those of you who have yet to get your books, make sure that you get one of them. They're absolutely amazing, as you know. In fact, let's talk about Natalie a little bit. This amazing person, unfortunately, fell down over the weekend and dislocated her shoulder. So everybody be nice to Natalie. Also, congratulations to Natalie. Natalie has another job in addition to her work with Rotary. She's working with the fire department as an administrator. So congratulations to Natalie for getting that. Yeah. We have our amazing district conference. We have our district governor right here in the room. Lance Eberly is with us. Looking forward to seeing a number of those of you who have signed up. And I believe that if you do still want to go to the conference, you're very welcome to sign up as soon as possible so that we can bring in maybe another few people. So I think there are 11 members of the Bloomington Rotary Club that will be in attendance this weekend. So that's great. Okay, It Takes a Village. Marilyn, would you like to come up and tell us about that? This is there's information on your tables about this as well. It Takes a Village.
Good afternoon, everyone. So on your table, yes, there are flyers that will explain a little bit about It Takes a Village. Some of you may remember we did this before the pandemic, and it is returning this year. It's a resource fair for young families and expectant mothers, and it's a great opportunity for them to get informational, learn about the resources in the community, and get some free supplies. But here's the ask: we need volunteers. So please contact me. My email is here and will also be in the roundabout. So contact me and let me know if you are available to help on April 29th, next Saturday. And it will be between the hours essentially from 9 to 3, but smaller increments of that. So just let me know. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Just also to let you know that we're just about there with the high school scholarships that the Rotary Club provides this year. It's going to be a very exciting month when we bring them in and celebrate with them. And this week, Amy Osajim is leading the team to make sure that we have amazing candidates. I believe that most of the high schools in the area are represented in this competition. So that's very exciting. Lunch buddies, I've been hearing about great conversations between members of this club. So make sure that you look at the list and connect up to your lunch buddy and go for a drink or a coffee or a dinner or a concert or something fun together. Let us know so that we can put stuff like that up on Facebook. And Sally Gaskell is back with us. She was in her hometown of Western Missouri. She gave a presentation this week on the Black Ancestors Awareness Campaign of Western. Very nice to see Sally continuing to do this amazing work in her community of origin. We're going to do happy dollars today, and I want to warn you that this is a warm-up to a very much more substantial hyper happy dollars that we're going to be doing for our scholarships in a few weeks' time. So let's go with maybe 2 or 3 announcements that anybody wants to make about what's happening in their lives, what's happening in the community, anybody online. So we have 1 hand up there. We've got 2 hands.
I'm pulling dollars. I am happy because this town, this community has so much art and culture and sports and everything to make all of us engaged human beings. Go see Candide. It is brilliant. Go to the jazz extravaganza. Go see something rotten. Go to an IU baseball game today. Go do something.
That's great. And there's a band extravaganza this evening as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Good luck to following that. Who's up?
Yeah. Who's next? Anybody else with another announcement? Aaron Brewington.
So I have $5 that I will bill. I'll have to be billed for, but I am happy that my lunch buddy is a cigar smoker. And I'm also happy that I got to see Something Rotten on opening night, which was just incredible. Please go see it.
Yeah, Something Rotten. I've heard it's amazing. My daughter's in the band playing bass guitar. Yeah.
Again, I'd like to pledge $10 for all those part of this club that have worked on the district conference coming up this weekend. I think we're going to have a fabulous weekend coming together. We have some great keynotes. Mitty Chang, Xavier Ramey, and John Germ will be joining us virtually. And also, we're going to have our first ever Interact conference that's taking place in coordination with it, again, because of the great efforts of Alon and Joy in our club. So look forward to seeing everyone there on Saturday.
And Hugh, let's congratulate Lance for the incredible work that he's done. Woo! Amazing. Absolutely. What an honor to have Lance in this club this year. Really fantastic. Okay, I think that's it for now, and we will move on to acknowledgements. Thanks so much, Dick McCaig, for greeting everybody today. Jim Sims, introducing our guests. Michael Shervis is on Zoom. Roy Graham, for your reflection again. Really great to have you up here. Susie Graham is our reporter for the month, and that's an amazing job to do, very substantial. Tracy, thank you for handling the microphone today, and Tyler, as always, for our technology. So moving on to the program now.
Eli.
Yeah.
Okay.
Raj.
I gave $25 contribution to HealthNet since they are the receiver of our quarterly benefit. And I gave another $25 because my daughter and her family visited with me this week. And I appreciate very much talking to the HealthNet a few days ago. And they are very interested in coming and present their operation to our club sometime in the near future. Thank you.
That would be great. Thank you, Raj. Thank you so much. And a little tidbit of information. I actually met Raj's daughter at her wedding because I was part of the band that played at her wedding. So that was a long time ago. Okay. So Michael Shermis, do you want to introduce our guest today?
Absolutely. Thanks, Lon. I've been lucky to work with some of my colleagues from the City of Bloomington's Economic and Sustainable, that's ESD, department in the areas of arts and accessibility. And I've been impressed with how much they care about doing the right thing and supporting the right things in our community. And I'd say more about that, and I'd spend a longer time providing an introduction about their education and their accomplishments. But then you'd have much less time listening to them tell you about the many good things that they're doing in our community. And that would be a shame. So I'll just say that Alex Crowley serves as the director of ESD. Holly Warren is the assistant director for the arts, and Jeff Jackson is the transportation demand manager. And with that, take it away, Alex.
Thank you very much, Michael. Hey, Joy, I'm going to put you on the spot. You want to promote this as well from come on up, or just from where?
Coordinated by the City of Bloomington Parks and Rec. And on Wednesday, May 10th from 3 to 6, come and learn about services and supports related to being a 50-plus. Okay, and I'll be there too.
So I'm going to repeat it because people online, I should have reminded. So this is 50 Plus Expo. It's on, I don't have my glasses. Wednesday, May 10th. It's for 50 plus people who need glasses. Switchard Park, I encourage everybody to go. All right, so we could launch the presentation. My name is Alex Crowley. I'm the Director of Economic and Sustainable Development, which, as Michael says, we refer to as ESD. And today it'll be me very quickly, and then I really want to give the majority of the time to Holly Warren and Jeff Jackson so they can talk about what they do, the great work that they do. Before we do that, I want to let you know that I think I have the best job in the city of Bloomington. And the reason for that is because I get, to lead a department of people, some of whom are here, who are just terrific people who've come to Bloomington for a variety of different reasons, but are doing great work. You'll hear about some of it today. What we're going to cover today, let's see if I can figure this out. There we go. I'll just give you a quick overview of the department. Holly will talk about arts and culture, and then Jeff will talk about transportation demand management, which he'll explain a little bit more, and then we can open it up at the end for a bunch of questions. Before I do that, Tracy and I are lunch buddies, and I want to strongly encourage you to connect with your lunch buddy. We decided lunch was just not going to cut it for us. Coffee was not going to cut it for us. We boozed it out together on her back porch, and we had a great time. Strongly encourage that. And I got 2 tomato plants, which hopefully I haven't killed yet, but anyway, thank you, Tracy. So very few things are as boring as organizational structures, but that's what I'm going to talk about. The mayor says, and he's right, that a budget is about as good an indication of what your priorities are as any document that you could do in an organization. So the budget is critical. I would say, in addition to that, your organizational structure is critical. And so let me explain why this is such a unique structure for Bloomington. And the word unique gets overused. People use it, they talk about things that are unique, and then it turns out it's not really unique. I believe that we are the only city in the United States that is organized this way in terms of what our department's portfolio of projects. So what we have in one department of the city of Bloomington is we have traditional economic development. Sustainability is paired with that, which is not very frequent. We have arts and culture. We have small business and entrepreneurship. And we have transportation demand management. All of those sit within one department. And what makes it interesting is, as many of you know, having been in organizations, I'm sure, sometimes the degree to which priorities are highlighted and integrated into projects sometimes comes down to, frankly, who's at the table and how much influence you can have while you're at the table when key decisions are being made. And so what makes this really interesting and unique and really powerful is that, for example, when we talk about projects like the Hopewell site, which is the hospital redevelopment project that's happening on the west side of town, when you look at a project like that and you're integrating all of these different considerations at the same time, you're not creating inadvertent tensions between them. You're actually factoring them all in at once, which is really powerful because, when you think about economic development and you're also thinking about how do you get public art right in the middle of it? How do you get sustainability right in the middle of it? Transportation issues considered, right? And then entrepreneurship and small business. If you're thinking about that all at once, it yields an outcome that's significantly better than if you were to try to do it separately. So today we'll talk about those two, transportation demand management, arts and culture, and I will turn it over to Holly and let her go at it.
Hey, y'all. My name is Holly Warren. I'm the Assistant Director for Arts for the City of Bloomington. Thank you so much for having us today. It's an honor to be here. I'm going to have to fight Alex about who has the best job in the city, because I'm pretty sure it's me. That this position even exists in Bloomington, that they are funding someone here to advocate for the arts, their importance, and for local artists to create work that inspires us, that pushes us to have conversations that are just on the brunt of the issues that are going on and that are most important in the state, in the US, in our city right now. That is amazing. So it's an honor for me to be here doing this work with my amazing colleagues and with many of you. Bloomington, I came here about 18 months ago. It has been historically an amazing artist community. So to be here and level it up into that next phase is awesome. So I'm happy to be here. So the two main things I focus on right now is getting funds out into our community so local and regional artists can make work on the ground here in Bloomington. And I also work to make sure that that art is accessible to everyone, that ticket prices are affordable, that everybody knows what is happening and where. So much is happening right now. I feel like 10 things happen every night, and I want to make sure you all know all 10 things that you can do, and then you have a really hard choice where to go because they're all amazing, or you just like pop in and exhaust yourself on a Friday night, but that's worth it. We're lucky to live in a community that does that. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the larger projects I focus on. Public art is a big thing. So getting pieces of public works out into the community so people can see them, people can reflect on them, people can have conversations about them and be inspired by them. This is one of our most recently completed pieces of 1% for the arts. This is a piece on the 4th Street Garage done by Project One and Adam Buente out of Indianapolis. This is meant to mimic a quilt design that reflects the traditional heritage of quilting here in our community. It's one of the largest pieces of public art in the state of Indiana. So I'm really excited about that. So I work again with folks to get this kind of public art out into the world. The other thing I do a lot of is grants. So I'm very lucky. This year I have just over $100,000 to give out in arts grants. This is for artists and arts groups to do projects. This is for organizations to just do operations, keeping the lights on. And it's also for emerging artists who aren't necessarily at the point where they're having 1 million shows and they're ready to play a concert for 1,000 people. They just need the resources to be in their studios doing their work so they can level up to be our next generation of arts leaders. So that's what this grants money is for. We just closed our first of 3 grant cycles this year. It's the arts project cycle. We had 66 applications. My grant subcommittee hates me right now. That's twice as many as we've ever gotten for this cycle. So it's a great problem to have, but we're going to be doing a lot of reading and giving out a lot of money for this in the next couple of months. So that's really great. But again, the other thing that I really work in advocacy of is this emerging artist group. So this is the group of artists that are here in the community that are ready to level up, are ready and hungry to professionalize. They just don't know what resources are available to them in the way some of our more established organizations and artists who have been around in the community more. So my focus in collaboration with my amazing colleague, Chaz Moniger, is just making sure we're getting grant funds into their hands. We're doing workshops to train them how to write a grant, how to be professional, how to sell their work, where to sell their work. That's another focus that I'm trying to really move on while I'm in this position. And again, it's just great to be in the position to be able to do that. I'm going to talk really quickly about some of the big projects that we've got in the works now. So one of the things that we have found, we did an arts feasibility study last year, and we found that We know there's a lot of great stuff happening here in venues all over town, but nobody knows about them. Nobody knows that they can take their kid to the library and have these resources for like digital art making classes and things like this. So it's like the resources are over here. The people who want the resources are over here. We need to bring them together. So we're going to create a web-based artist resource platform. So folks in the community can go not just to know where to see art, but it's also for artists to know where they can show and sell their work. It's where parents can go to learn where they can take their kids for classes like this. And this is not just a city thing. The idea with this platform, it is a platform of the community. It reflects the community, not just what the city wants. And so we're also partnering with Indiana University and my good friend Henry Leck and the Arts Alliance of Greater Bloomington to develop this platform. So we're kind of crossing our audiences, getting everybody together and getting everybody excited about use this platform to just do arts things in town. So that's really great. A couple of other things. We found that, so there's a lot of great art downtown. There are all these great like facilities you can go see art, but what about art in neighborhoods? We feel like folks should be able to go around the corner and hear a great piece of music or see a great sculpture or just have a great fun block party right in front of their house. So we're in the process of getting ready to release our new public art master plan. And this is basically a toolkit that we're going to be disseminating to different neighborhoods to be able to say, hey, you want to have a festival? This is how you do it. You want a sculpture in your park? This is how you go about getting funding. So we're going to release that in mid-May. And with that, we're also going to release little micro grants of $1,000 each. So we're not just giving people this toolkit, we're giving them a little financial incentive to get this stuff off the ground. And I, in association with the Bloomington Arts Commission, will just work with them to make sure they're doing it with best practices in mind. So that's another awesome thing we're doing. We're also doing the same thing in downtown though, because I do feel like more murals, more dynamism would be good here. So I'm going to be working with Downtown Bloomington, Inc. to do a total of $100,000 of public art, be it murals, street performances, 3D installations, seating, pretty flowers in downtown Bloomington over the next 3 years. So very excited about that. What else do I want to tell you about? I'm gonna invite you to a party tonight. So another awesome thing we've been able to do, and I don't think I was going to show you a video. I don't know if it works. Oh, okay. So that would be awesome. So we have taken one of the empty storefronts of the 4th Street Garage and we've turned it into an arts exhibition. And this is just a stop video, motion video of turning this. Installing in 4th Street and turning it from this storefront that we were all coughing through dust into this. Where we're going to have a party tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. This is one of the amazing parties that, again, my amazing colleague Chaz Modinger has put together. And this is just the idea here is just artists get together, network, learn about each other's, continue to create that sense of community amongst artists. If any of you want to come tonight, talk to Chaz. She will set you up. We've had friends go to this thing and then find the person who's going to play at their wedding. So this is just a great chance to meet local artists, learn what they're doing. It's an awesome opportunity. Cool. And then I'm just going to show you a couple of other public artworks in progress. Okay. Goat Farm, Rogers Family Park. So as part of the park's overhaul and rewilding of that area, they asked for a piece of public art. So we're working with local artist Jonathan Rasick to install this piece. It's called Fleeting. And the idea here is it's mimicking the grass kind of blowing back and forth in the wind. So this install will be finished in June and then we'll have a really fun ribbon cutting ceremony for it that I'd love for you all to attend. And then I want to talk about this one thing that is like the ink on this contract is not even signed yet. I'm just so excited about it. And it's just a great example of collaborations within our department. So I worked with our assistant or our sustainability coordinator to find a place for this mural that was designed by high school kids. So the white you see in this design, they are going to use a heat reflective paint for this that cools the area around it. So I worked with our sustainability coordinator to find a plot at Wonder Lab where we're going to install this mural and will actually cool the area around it. So We're really excited about the idea. The students came up with this entire concept and just came to us with it. And we were just like, okay, we're going to find a place where this can happen, but it's going to be a collaboration because that's what is great about our department. Everything overlaps. And we just always find these great opportunities to do that work together in collaboration. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to my amazing colleague, Jeff Jackson, to talk about TDM. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. It's great to be here. I appreciate you inviting us to talk about transportation demand management. I am originally from Indiana. I've got a huge family in Indiana, 5 sisters, brother, and dozens of nieces and nephews. I have lived everywhere else except Indiana for the last 35 plus years, Florida, Colorado, Idaho, and I've done business nationally, internationally. And 40 years to the date after I was a freshman at IU, my daughter is a freshman at IU. She's on the cheer team, and I'm living my best life being back in Bloomington. So it's great to be here. And I did like millennials do. I moved where I wanted to move. And once I got here, I thought, maybe I should get a job. And Alex had a job posted. And here I am. And I hope he doesn't regret that decision. Clicker. Transportation demand management. Most folks don't know what that is. The city did a plan in June of 2020. It was completed. I was hired on November 1st, 2021. And since that time, my job has to develop this new START transportation demand management program. And what's unique, I'm gonna use that word again, about Bloomington and this particular plan is most TDMs only exist in very urban areas where there's much more severe traffic, congestion problems, parking issues, costly parking, and are non-sustainable areas in terms of air pollution. So it's another example how progressive Bloomington is to actually make a financial commitment to have a TDM, hire a professional like me to work full-time on promoting transportation demand management. I'm going to call it TDM from now on. While I talk with you, you know, one of my first goals here, other than starting the program, was to brand the program. Well, I'm sorry, let me back up a second. The mission of TDM is to reduce carbon emissions. It's to decrease traffic congestion, and by doing so, improve parking availability. And the way we do that, we focus on single occupant vehicles. In the business, we call it SOVs. So, and the way we decrease SOVs through our platform, our website, and our software platform is by promoting walking, biking, taking public transit. Little town of Bloomington's got Bloomington Transit and IU campus bus service. By carpooling, vanpooling, micromobility means everything from e-scooters to Uber, Lyft, and even teleworking. We're all familiar with teleworking after the pandemic. And so, and it's here to stay. Even before the pandemic, because I worked my whole career in transportation around the country, like I said, I would often say, hey, if you want to reduce traffic congestion in the AM, PM peaks for commuting, let's let people work from home. Well, I would never design a pandemic to get to that end game, but here we are. So, there we go. So our phase one was to brand our TDM. And we hired a marketing firm out of Wisconsin called the Affirm Agency. And after some back and forth, we came up with the branding Go Bloomington. And why is that important? Well, Go is an action word, and Bloomington is already a great brand. I've always, even though I haven't lived in the state, I'm a hardcore Hoosier. And wherever I've gone, I've wore it on my sleeve, and I've been proud of the state of Indiana. And I have never been anywhere where someone has had something bad to say about Bloomington, Indiana. There's very few communities where you can visit around the country where that's the case. San Francisco used to be in that pile or in that group, but They've been getting a kind of bad rap here lately, but Bloomington still has a stellar reputation. So branding, go Bloomington. The way we are promoting our brand is by having a really intensive, first of all, we had to develop a website, which is part of the marketing efforts. And the goal is to get people to our website to register. Once you register, you can put in your origin destination and pick a mode, whether you want to bike or walk, and it'll show you the shortest distance between two locations. If you want a carpool, you put in, like I said, your origin address and where you work, and it will match you with other people that live and work in comparable areas. And if there's a large enough group, we can do van pools. It shows you real-time locations for every Bloomington Transit bus, every campus bus. It shows you real-time locations of all the scooters around town. I don't think any of us rode a scooter here today, but they're very popular with the students. And oh, by the way, there's 45,000 of them in Bloomington. So it's an important part of our overall transportation program. Well, sometimes it seems like there's that many scooters. Did I say scooters? So one of the fun things once you register and participate is you can manage your own trip log. And I ride my bike to work every day. With this measurement or the metrics it will show you, how many trips that I've had, how many calories I've burned to date, how much CO2 carbon emissions my own personal travel habits have reduced, distance, and ultimately cost savings. One of our promotional advertising pieces is feel good, breathe easy, and save money. So just participating with the program, it will hopefully make you feel good, breathe easy, and save money. So the first phase of our marketing plan was community focused. And again, our marketing plan and this whole development of the program didn't start till January of 2022. So I'm really proud about the progress we've made to date. Some of the examples of the marketing we've done was we put exterior bus ads on Bloomington Transit buses. Behind there is a Commute with Enterprise van pool that has co-branded with our branding and Enterprise's branding. You might have seen these around town. We've got banners. They're on the 10th Street corridor, which is a major pedestrian traffic corridor for students. They're around the city square. They're on Kirkwood, and they're on the 7 line and B line. We've also co-branded with Lime e-bikes. Before we contacted Lime, there were no e-bikes in town. And they even allowed us, when they introduced these, to co-brand them with Go Bloomington. And the city's in the process of issuing new license to the scooter providers. There's 3 vendors in town, VO, Lime, and Bird. And we're requiring them to increase their fleet's ratio of e-bikes to scooters. So hopefully they'll become more prevalent and popular. Phase 2 was focused on employers, and the largest employer in town is Indiana University. We signed a marketing agreement with Learfield Sports and IU Sports Properties, who are the exclusive marketing and advertising group for IU athletics. So I was excited because I got to turn another one of my passions into my work hard, play hard. And so one of our promotional themes was Go Hoosiers, Go Bloomington. We had in-game advertising at all the games. We did in-game videos, we did pre-game promotions, and it's been very productive. Not only are we promoting to the students, because of those 45,000 students, 30,000 of them live off campus and commute every day. And whether they know it or not, they're already participating in our program because they walk. Parking's at a premium there. If you can have buy a permit, they take Bloomington Transit to campus. They take IU campus bus. I see other students dropping off students at shared ride. How many folks drove here by yourself today? How many drove with someone else? I would hope that we can increase that number, because when I pulled in today, the parking lot was full, which goes back to that, let's improve parking availability. I love my car. We're not asking anybody to give up their cars. All I'm asking is that on occasion, you think, what's my other option? Could I walk there? Could I ride my bike? Can I call my buddy Fred and we drive together? That used to be called carpooling. It still is, but it's also shared rides. And the other thing about IU basketball games, everybody brags about their seats, but they really brag about their parking passes. You know, that's how you got status in this town. Where's your parking pass? And I guarantee you, nobody with those parking passes is driving by themselves. So whether they know it or not, and if any of you are season tickets, you're already participating in our program. These are just some examples of how we've co-branded. I talked about how great a brand Bloomington is. What's the other great brand in town? IU. Specifically, IU basketball. And we just didn't brand with IU basketball. We brand the men's basketball team. We also branded with the women's basketball team. With timing is everything in this life, right? Talk about a great year for both programs. And we got a lot of mileage off that, and I'll show you about that. But this is just typical. I took this picture. I should get some credits down here. But you know, I'm pinching myself because there's the IU logo in Assembly Hall, and there's Bloomington's logo. And we're promoting Bloomington. We're also promoting Go Bloomington, of course, but bring those two brands together is very, very important. Now, one of the best things, the most productive things we did was I don't know if you know James Gordon, who did this whole carpool karaoke thing on his late night show. Well, we signed a name, image, and likeness deal with Anthony Leal. He's a local Bloomington person. We thought it was very important to sign an NIL deal with a local player. And in return, he got Trace Jackson Davis, Miller Kopp, and Trey Galloway to show up for free. We didn't have to pay for those guys. We wouldn't be able to afford them. And they did 6 of these episodes that, importantly, they played at the games, which got the students engaged, and got all the fans, because, you know, the folks that have the best seats in Assembly Hall are employees of IU. So we're after the employees too, and working through the employers is important to attract those folks to support Go Bloomington. You want to play that? I'm just going to give you an example of what it looked like during a game. While he's queuing that up, oh, here we go. We also did this with Sydney Parrish from the women's basketball team. She has a huge social media following, and we were able to really get mileage out of her. We weren't able to play them in games, but her social media following is just tremendous. Is it ready to go?
Disco, disco. Como se llama? Bonita. I know, my mom's gonna love seeing this at halftime. This is gonna be on halftime and timeouts? Yes, dude. Oh, it's finished. Every rule I had you breaking is a risk that I'm taking. Smile on your lines like this. I hate me the most. Oh yeah, I hate you too.
And we had a whole series of this. Now, it's goofy, it's funny, but it got the desired reaction. I saw you smiling, I saw you watching it, I saw you laughing. And ultimately, it's all about content. And marketing is all about social media advertising. Maybe not so much to us. It is whether we know it or not, but to the students and the younger folks, it's how they consume all their advertising. And it's changed dramatically. So this has been a very, very productive program. We've already had the IU soccer team say they want to get in on this. Anybody knows the president and the chancellor of the university, I'd love to get them in a car and do their version of carpool karaoke and just kind of make this a real thing next year. Baseball players, football players next season. Now this is Sydney Parrish on the women's team. She was Indiana Miss Basketball. But she went to Oregon her first year, and then she entered a transfer portal and came back to Bloomington and had great success this year. And I have to say the women were a lot better at singing, but go Bloomington on YouTube and you can see all these videos. But again, we paid for Sydney Parrish's name, image, and likeness to NIL, and we got her 3 teammates to come along free of charge. And we had a 3.6 million increase in social media engagements through these 2 programs. So we went from a handful of people that were engaged to our social media platforms of Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, now TikTok and Snapchat. You all know what those mean, right? So we went from a handful to over 500,000 engagements. And that just means when someone has viewed it, liked it, reposted it, commented on it, and we've had a 69,000% increase in the reach just from November 22nd through November 23rd. This time last year, we hadn't even thought about doing this. And we've had 188,000% increase in, I'm not sure why that's up there, in registrations. And ultimately, that's the ultimate metric to determine how successful our program is. And we went from just a handful of registrants to over 1,300 in like 90 days. This shows the people reached in person during IU men's and women's basketball games. Those are people that actually saw these ads inside the games, which is a big number, but it's, you can see how small it is compared to how many folks you can reach through social media. This is the 539,000% increase was using IU's athletics platforms of Snapchat, and they have what's called Fan 365. Oh, that's the last one. Just before I close, I've got some rat cards up on the table if you'd like to have them. I want to promote our event this Saturday at Switchyard Park. It's the first annual Bike to Earth Day at Switchyard Park event. It's on Earth Day. It's a collaboration of sustainability and TDM within the city of Bloomington. Please come out. It's a community of friendly event. And I left everyone a business card on your table. And if you flip that over, there's a QR code. And if you scan that, you can register to go Bloomington. This guy will tell you my job is to get as many new registrants as possible. And I've got a friend who's retired. He's like, well, why would I register? I don't commute. Well, like the back of the card says, please register if you support sustainable transportation alternatives in our community. And please take a minute and register. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Holly. Thank you, Jeff. Now you understand, I mean, these are just a couple of the programs that the department is doing. We look forward to an opportunity to share some of the other things in small business and economic development, sustainability at a different time. But, you know, just scratching the surface, give you a sense of how much fun it is, how much is going on at the city. And I really encourage you all to, you know, get engaged and come see the event on Saturday that Jeff was talking about. So I think we've got a couple of minutes here for some questions, and go for it. Yep.
So you guys have like Grand Falloon, Cosmic, Songwriters, Lotus, Limestone, that sort of thing. What are some of the events that are coming up this summer, let's say, that you guys are really excited about?
I think you just named them. We're really excited for Grand Falloon, especially I think because so that's sponsored by the Indiana Arts and Humanities Council, but it's in downtown Bloomington. And so I think that just speaks to what happens when the university comes into the community. So I'm really excited about that. Selfishly, I'm excited for, so we're planning something called Exhibit Columbus Bloomington Day. So I'm also a curatorial partner for Exhibit Columbus, which, as some of you probably know, is an architecture biennial over in Columbus, Indiana, that celebrates architecture and design there, and specifically cutting edge elements of design that create community. So we're now partnering with Exhibit Columbus, and they're going to be coming over here on Saturday, May 13th. And we're just going to be walking some of the experts from that community around Bloomington, bragging about all of our awesome public art and our opportunities in neighborhoods and areas like the Trades District and Hopewell to say, hey, y'all, here are some new areas of town that are just ripe for cutting edge design, where we can put new pieces of art that really create a sense of community. So we'll be looking at those things together and just having an open conversation that's open to the public about that. As part of that event that evening, we'll also be doing a film screening at Upland with Cicada Cinema. So that's another big event I'm excited for this summer. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Awesome.
Also add that Switchyard Park, you know, you've got this fabulous park that was opened a couple of years ago, and it's got this great pavilion. And if you've gone to see concerts already there, they've had some. They're really thinking about that over the long term and how that becomes a contributing venue for us substantially in Bloomington. For the first time this summer, Visit Bloomington, which is a partner organization, they are organizing a concert series there. And that'll be starting over sometime, I guess, in June. And so I keep your ear to the ground, because that's going to be really cool. And I think that's going to be kind of the beginning of using that, leveraging that pavilion in a way that really will foreshadow the future. It's going to be this really great opportunity for Bloomington.
Great.
Wow. Feels like a fire hose coming at me of all of the enthusiasm and events. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy is concerned that loneliness is one of the is the most demanding health concern in our nation. And you, Alex, mentioned about the importance of having people at the table. My concern is that there are many people that can't get to the table. And Surgeon General Murthy has actually passed out a book to his staff written by a pastor in Indianapolis, who engaged in something called roving listeners, people going into the neighborhood and meeting folks who otherwise can never get to the table. I heard some of that from what Holly was saying, but in a community that is so top down, so many experts from the university into the city, how will we build the networks that will include people who can't make it to the table?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, you know, I think arguably one of the biggest challenge we have in the roles that we have are to do just that, is to, you know, sometimes we demand that people come to city council meetings, to commission meetings, like you come to us, and it's this very kind of knee-jerk reaction that I think we have, and it does very much limit, and I've seen it firsthand, it limits the input, the quality of the input, the scope of the input. You know, we spend a lot of our time in our department. In fact, it's kind of a bit of a running joke that there's almost nobody in our department at any time, because we're out and about quite a bit. That's one of the luxuries that we have being in the department that we have. But that's not going to solve the problem that you're talking about. I think that there's some value in some of the technology that allows people to be, you know, like in Zoom and that sort of thing to get them. And we've seen engagement levels increase in public meetings as a result of people being able to join that way. But I think you're absolutely right that we have to do a much better job. We've talked about, for example, departments, just upping the department, dropping it in a neighborhood somewhere and just decamping there for a week and you know, trying that kind of thing to try to get people more comfortable engaging with us at the city.
So we're going to go for another 3 or 4 minutes. So anybody who needs to leave, by all means, you can leave without feeling embarrassed about it. It'd be great to have you with us. I know that Jeff Richardson has a question online. Jeff, do you want to open up your microphone, or should we just read the chat?
I'll just quickly say it.
Okay.
Yeah. Great presentation. Thank you so much. Very impressive. Hey, just one thing. The metrics on the media impressions and the outreach are very, I mean, beyond impressive. They're incredible. But do we have any metrics at this point on what behavior change actually resulted from all of this outreach? I mean, are there more scooter riders? Are there more walkers? Are there more bus riders? I'm just curious. I mean, you've certainly laid the foundation, but then the old question is, and then what happened? So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a great question. And in fact, it's one that Jeff and I talk about a lot. So the short answer is it's actually really hard to triangulate and figure out behavioral change. I mean, ideally, there would be a metric that everybody would have to register every single day to say, this is how I got to work and back. That's just not going to happen. So what we do have to do is triangulate a little to get a sense of what the impact is of all of this. But really, frankly, the first part of this is really brand building, engagement building, coming up, testing. We're doing a lot of sort of champion challenger testing of tactics to see like what works, what doesn't work. So we can kind of build up a momentum on this thing. And as we're doing that, we're looking at ways in which we can try to discern what kind of behavioral change is happening. And we'll, it's going to unfortunately have to be about 5 or 6 different sub-metrics that can give us a sense overall. But we will not have an absolute black and white number at the end. And that's one of the frustrations of the work, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Dick here.
All right, considering the funding for the public arts projects, has the deadline already passed for those who wish to apply to that? Also, do those people have to be from Bloomington? One last question. What is y'all's philosophical approach to those who construct their art through graffiti? Do you try to showcase those people as well, or those people have to be linked to the institutional structure in order to be recognized as legitimate artists or anything like that?
My unofficial favorite piece of public art in Bloomington is a piece of graffiti. And I would like to make that more official. And my dream is one day we could actually have a day-long symposium about the importance of graffiti in street art. That will take a little time. I'm happy to touch base with you and talk about how we could do that together, because the more people I have collaborating and helping me with that, the better. So the first arts grant cycle for the year has passed, but there will be 2 more. The next one will be an operations grant so that's for 501c3s, just for general operations expenses. We're going to do another cycle that will kick off, I believe, the deadlines, it's open roughly from September to October, and that's for emerging artists. And I'm happy to talk more with you. I can give you my card and my email address to decide whether or not that would be a great grant cycle. The neighborhood projects would be another good opportunity to do murals, street art, graffiti sessions. Those are going to be more of a rolling application basis. And again, we anticipate releasing those in mid-May. And again, that's also going to be a thing where we will be going out into communities, connecting with neighborhood associations and things like that to get the information directly to them. I think I missed one of your questions.
Person have to be from Bloomington or Indiana itself to be able to apply to these grants or whatever?
Ideally, for the emerging artists grant especially, yes, we do want them to be Bloomington based, but there are other opportunities that we can discuss, because at the end of the day, it's not just about a Bloomington artist, it's reaching a Bloomington community and making a difference for the Bloomington community. As we think about these more public pieces of art and murals and things like that, both downtown and in neighborhoods, where I always think about what is the right piece of art in the right place with the right type of artist. Sometimes it makes sense to work with a regional or national artist, just because that's an opportunity for our local artists to expand their peer network, right? And for our community to learn how the arts community exists and is thinking about these larger questions through arts beyond Bloomington. So, yeah, thanks.
Yes, I guess the mic's off. I was just wondering, because this person actually is a PhD student here at IU, but he moved back to Columbus for a time and things like that. And he's actually done artwork here in certain murals. I think one for the nursing school or something like that. His name is Raheem Elmore.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we can talk more about that. I'll show you my card. We'll connect. Awesome, thanks.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Yes, give him a hand. Yeah. Thank you, Holly. And thank you, Alex. And as Raj mentioned, we support HealthNet this quarter in thanks to the guests that we have with us at our meetings. Next week, we'll be here in the Georgian room once again. And Jeff Meese, the amazing and wonderful Jeff Meese from One World Enterprises will be here. I believe that Lynn knows him pretty well, Lynn Schwartzberg, and he'll be talking about the secrets to building a lasting restaurant enterprise. So that should be really fantastic. With that, let's rise and talk about the share the 4-way +1 test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And fifth, is it fun? And before we go, I just want to thank Don Griffin once again for everything that he's done for the city of Bloomington. Thank you. Okay, good. Have a fantastic